Hey guys, welcome back. As you can see, I am back to filming in my living/dining area, which is probably where I'll be doing most of my films from now on. There might be the occasional cameo appearance from Seko. I hope that's okay. She's pretty chilled, so she might just potter around. She really loves my yoga mat, so she'll probably spend most of her time on here, as demonstrated now. So before we get started, you will need either a bolster like this, but I totally appreciate that most people won't have something like this, and it really doesn't matter at all. Alternatively, you can use a rolled up yoga mat, so if you have a spare one of them, then that's perfect. And again, another alternative is to use a blanket and kind of roll it up in a bit of a sausage-like shape. To be honest, for the first part of this class, something slightly smaller as opposed to this chunky bolster is actually going to be better, because we're going to come straight into a heart opener. So we'll be focusing predominantly on the chest, the shoulders, the upper back, but also down the spine as well. And for the last part of the class, you'll also need a block, so a yoga block of some description. Again, if you don't have something like this, you can improvise. I've been improvising for years, so don't worry about it. Awesome. And we're going to make a start down on our backs today. I'm going to move my bolster to the other end, because otherwise the dog will take over. So with your bolster, your blanket, or your rolled up yoga mat, we're going to place it so that it's running lengthways down the mat. And then basically you want to position the end of it so that it's right at the base of your spine. And then you're just going to allow yourself to drape back over it. And then ideally, if you don't have a very lazy Labrador in your way, you want to place the soles of the feet together and let the knees drop out to the side. Your arms can just come out or maybe up and overhead. Just feel what feels best for you, but ideally turn the palms so that they're facing up. So you've got this really expansive, open gesture. Straight away starting to get into the heart space. And if you haven't already, let the eyes come down to a close. Bring your focus to the breath and notice whether it feels any different now that you're in this position. Where does your breath manifest in the body today? And just start to bring your unconscious breath into a more conscious breath. I want you to feel as though your chest is cracking open and the rib cage is spilling, it's cascading over whatever object you have decided to use underneath your spine. Let the arms be really heavy. Let the shoulders and the back of the triceps gravitate down towards the earth. Before we start our practice, we're just going to bring a little bit more intention, a bit more awareness to your breath. So release the exhale out through the mouth, through the nose, just empty the lungs of breath. And then breathing in, fill your abdomen or your lungs up halfway. Pause. And then breathing in for the second half. Filling the lungs up, pause, and then release the breath halfway. Pause. And then release the breath fully. Good. Breathe in halfway. Pause. Breathe in fully. Pause. Exhale halfway. Pause. Exhale the full breath. Good. Breathe in halfway. Pause. Breathe in fully. Pause. Exhale halfway. Pause. Exhale fully. One more like this. Breathe in halfway. Pause. Breathe in fully. Pause. Exhale halfway. Pause. Exhale fully. Good. We're going to continue like this, but this time we're going to do it with 3 parts. So when you're ready, breathe in 1/3 capacity. Pause. Sip in the second third. Pause. Sip in the last third, filling yourself up with breath. Pause. And then again, exhaling 1/3. Pause. Exhaling 2/3. Pause. Exhale fully. Good. 2 more like this. Breathe in 1/3. Pause. Breathe in 2/3. Pause. Breathe in 3/3 fully. Pause. Exhale 1/3. Pause. Exhale 2/3. Pause. Exhale fully. Do this last round in your own breath, your own rhythm, your own time. Beautiful, guys. If you'd like to, blink your eyes open now, take in your surroundings, and then just roll off your bolster or your blanket to the left-hand side. The yin energy, the female or feminine, divine feminine. And just let all of the blood flow into the heart space, keeping your movements very slow and heavy. Amazing. And when the time feels right, just simply roll over onto your belly. You can move the bolster or your props to one side for now. And we're going to come straight into a bit of a shoulder opening stretch. So we'll start with the right hand side. Extend your right arm out long beside you. Keep the palm facing down. So we're creating a half T shape effectively. Now if you're using a blanket here, you can use this to support your ear. That can feel really nice. Let your right ear come down to the earth. And then all we're going to do is roll over onto the right hand side. And you can either stay here or you can bend through your left leg and let the sole of the left foot drop down to the earth behind the right leg. Now, for a lot of us, this might feel super intense already. That's okay. We're really getting into the pec minor, the pec major. It's a real strong chest opener. If you would like to go a little bit further, there's also the option to bend through your left leg and try to direct the left knee up towards the sky as well. And then thirdly, if you've still got plenty of room, which I definitely don't, you can just let your left arm drapes over the back of the body so that the forearm or the wrist is in the small of the back. Now those are just options. I'm quite tight in my shoulders and in my chest, so I can just about manage the second variation, but actually I know that it's going to be much more beneficial if I just stay in the first option. You can close down your eyes here. Just remember that the shoulder joint is a very, very vulnerable part of our body. So we've got a whole multitude of complex muscle groups, joints, etc. So if at any point you are experiencing pain, or if you get any sort of panicky, anxious feeling, then that is your body telling you that you've gone too far. So just simply roll out and just pause. There is nothing to be achieved from real pain or going beyond that point of benefit. Awesome. Take one more breath here. Good. And then roll back onto your belly nice and slowly. We're going to take it straight over to the other side. So this time extending left arm out wide, palm facing down. Left ear connects with the earth. And we roll over onto the left-hand side, either staying here or take a bend through your right leg and let the sole of the right foot find the floor behind your left leg. If you'd like to take the variations, then of course you can. It might be that you have a slightly different experience on this side, so maybe you've got more space to explore, or maybe it feels a bit more limited. Just listen to your body. Awesome. Take 2 more breaths here. And then slowly roll back down onto the belly. Again, take your time to unravel. There's no rush. And then we're going to come back onto the right-hand side once again. Similar story, but this time we're going to create a cactus shape with the right arm. So we're bending at the elbow. The elbow joint comes directly out from the shoulder joint, and then the fingertips are reaching towards the top of the mat. Now, this will probably feel a bit more limited, a bit more restricted. That's totally normal, and you might really start to feel this in the belly of the bicep muscle as opposed to your shoulder joint or into your chest, but it will just depend on where you're tightest. So again, coming onto your right ear and then just roll over onto the side. Remember your options. Have a little bit of a shuffle, a little bit of a wiggle. You might not want to even place your foot behind the leg this time. You might just want to stay on your side. That's okay. Just take 3 more breaths here. Don't be alarmed if this feels slightly trickier. Awesome. As you exhale, slowly roll back down onto the belly, coming straight over onto the left-hand side. So bend at the left elbow this time. Left ear drops down to the earth, and we roll over onto the left-hand side of the body. Now, you might really need to use your right hand to support you here. That's okay. And if you do need to make any adjustments to your body, then just try not to do it when your shoulder and your chest are in this quite vulnerable position. So roll back onto the belly, adjust your stance, and then come back to find the posture. Amazing. Last big breath. And then use an exhale to roll all the way back down onto the belly. Slide the hands underneath your shoulders, keeping the elbows drawn in, toes are untucked, and use an inhale to just lift up into your baby cobra. Elbows are drawing back towards the side ribs. We're strong through our glutes and we're pressing down through the hips. Find length all the way along the spine and reach through the crown of the head. Good. Breathe here for 2 more. And use an exhale to release. Awesome. We're going to use our prop once again, so blanket, bolster, yoga mat, whatever it is, and just roll it back and roll it so that it's underneath your ribs. Now, my bolster is obviously quite high, so I can come into quite a deep back bend, but if this feels too triggering and too much at this stage, then just shuffle it forwards or use something that's slightly lower. And then you can keep your elbows connected with the earth, but just try not to use the arms here. We want this to be quite restorative, not requiring too much effort from the body. So as you'll see, my arms are completely relaxed. And you can either look forwards, if that feels okay, continuing the C curve all the way along the spine, or if you want to make it a little bit more yin-y and a bit more grounding and slow, then you can just let the chin drop down towards the chest and let the head hang down. If you've got loads and loads of props handy, then you could also perhaps support your forehead with something as well. Try to relax the glutes, the lower body, the belly. Just check in with what's going on with your shoulders as well here. So we don't want them to be too tight and tense, squeezing up around the ears, sorry. Really try and allow them to melt away down the ears and roll back. So let the bottom part of your shoulder blade gravitate towards your pelvis if you can. We've got 3 more breaths here. Beautiful. Slowly slide the hands back, press down through the knees. We're going to make our way into a tabletop position. So once again, just roll your props out of the way. Keep your hips stacked above your knees and then walk the hands forwards. We're going to let the chest and the heart melt down towards the earth, coming into our puppy pose. We won't be here for too long and we don't want this to target the lower back. So keep trying to draw that belly button towards the spine. Press down through both hands so that you aren't just collapsing into the shoulder girdle here, and try to remain connected with your breath. Awesome. On your next inhale, press down through the hands so that you can walk them back towards the knees, and just let the hips drop down to the heels for a moment, stacking the shoulders on top of your hips. Give the shoulders a nice big roll out. Take your time. You can go forwards, backwards, whatever you need to do. Notice whether there's any restriction or any stickiness in either joint. And then once again, taking hold of your prop, whether that's blanket or a bolster. We're going to come into a similar posture, but this time we're going to target the triceps and the lats a little bit more. So that heart to earth pose was really getting into the body of the shoulder, but we want to, we work a lot on our triceps and our lats, but we very rarely can really target them when it comes to stretching. So this is a great one to do. So just roll whatever you're using back towards you and then place your elbows on top of it for support and bring the palms of your hands together. Now exactly the same as we just did, you want to create a little bit of space, so you might have to adjust your stance so that the head can drop down, and then let the thumbs find the back of the neck here. Try to roll your triceps down so that we're coming into external rotation here, and that will create a good, safe environment to enjoy and explore this stretch. And it's up to you how intense you make this. The more that you let the hips drop back down towards the heels, the less focus, the less intensity you will feel. Good, last 2 breaths. Amazing. Start to lift the chest up, slowly easing your way out of the posture. Slide the prop away from you for now. And we're going to shift our focus into the wrists now. So finding your tabletop position, letting the hands and the fingers spread naturally. So although it's important to spread the fingers out, we don't want to overspread and overstretch them. So let them be quite natural and find a slight grip of your fingertips, and especially try to activate the part of the hand in between your thumb and your index finger. So see if you can really squeeze that muscle, and that will bring a lot of stress out of the wrist joint. And then we're just going to start by simply drawing some little circles around the wrists. So letting the shoulders and the hips move. And use your hands here, especially the fingertips. So we don't want to just be collapsing into the wrist and the heel of the hand. We want to use the whole of the hand to provide support. And then reverse the direction of your circles. Awesome. Coming back to find stillness. Turn the fingertips so that they're pointing to the outside of the mat. And this time, rock from side to start with. Again, maintaining that slight grip, that activation of the fingertips. And then as things start to soften and release a little bit, you can again draw some full circles, exactly as we did just now. Keep pressing down through the hands so we're not collapsing through the shoulders. Again, change the direction. Awesome. Coming back to find stillness. This time picking the hands up so that the fingertips point towards the knees. If this feels physically impossible, you can try doing it one at a time, or you can just stay on any two of the previous exercises. Start to rock the weight forwards and backwards once again. You will probably feel this quite acutely up the forearms. That's okay, especially if you're not used to this sort of exercise or drill. And if you want to increase the intensity even more, start to lift the heel of the hand slightly. You can pause here. You don't have to be moving continuously. If that stretch feels pretty good, pretty juicy, then enjoy it. Marinate in it. Amazing. Come back to center, pick the hands up. You can give them a little bit of a shake out. And then once again, sit the hips back towards the heels, interlace your hands into a fist, and then just draw this figure of 8 with that fist. So just enjoying and appreciating that space that we've created. Are you feeling any difference? Are you feeling any punchy sensations? Hopefully. Awesome. And then make fists with your hands and bring them slightly closer together as you come into your tabletop. So instead of the fists being shoulder width apart, bring them slightly closer together. And then from here, we're going to roll onto the back of the hand and see if you can keep that fist. Now, if, again, you're unfamiliar with this, you might feel as though you've lost all motor skills and there's all sorts of weird stuff going on in your hands. You might find it very difficult to maintain that fist, but just bear with it. See if maybe you can find a gentle bit of movement here. Keep pressing down through the back of the hand. I know it's intense. Maybe forwards and backwards slightly. You might want to come back up onto the fists and then roll to the outside once again. And over time, this does get easier. The more you familiarize yourself with it, the wrists will start to soften and release. And muscle memory is most definitely a thing as well. Awesome. Once again, pick those hands up, give them a little shake out. Now for this last one, this one is amazing if you spend a lot of time at a keyboard or if you have carpal tunnel syndrome. It really is an awesome exercise to do if you have any problems with the lower extremities of your arms. So taking your left arm first, place the back of the forearm down so that the left fingertips are close to the right-hand side or right-hand edge of the mat. And then with your opposite knee, we're going to pick it up and just give that forearm a bit of a self-massage. So just work up and down the inside of that left forearm. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's totally up to you how intense you make this. Awesome. And you might start to notice that other areas loosen up. So when we injure something, or if we have pain somewhere, we tend to really focus on the exact eye of that pain. But a lot of the time it can be surrounding muscles, tissues that are causing the problem. Maybe they're tight or they're stressed. So this is a really great way to just try and fully release all of the nerves, the fascia, the tissue, the muscles in the forearm. You can really get into some knots. Awesome. And then swapping arms, so let that left hand have a little bit of a shake out, release the right knee down, and then cross the right forearm so that it's running parallel to the short edge of the mat. The fingertips are close to the left-hand side of the mat, and then pick up the opposite knee, so the left knee, and again, just start that little self-massage up and down. You might have some real gritty trigger points. You don't want to go so far that you experience pain. As always, it's not going to achieve anything here or anywhere in our practice, really. Amazing. Release the knee, sit yourself back. Again, give those arms and the hands a little bit of a shake out. And then we're going to take hold of our block and we're going to make our way down onto our back. So placing the block down, I'm going to put mine on the middle section. So we've got quite a narrow edge of the block. And we want that area to be running directly in between our shoulder blades. Now, I recommend using whatever you have been using, so pillow, bolster, or whatever it is, to support your head, but that's totally optional. See how you get on. And you might need to have a little bit of a shimmy and a fidget around with that block just to get it into the right position. And don't worry, I am fully aware of how intense this might feel. It's strong. But if you can, try and just release and surrender into it. You can let the legs fall wherever feels intuitive here. And that's the same with the arms as well. So you might want to move the arms around a little bit. That block, the corners and the sides, might find some juicy knots, some trigger points that maybe need a little bit of work into them. So by moving the arms around, yes, it might feel quite strong, but it will also be hugely beneficial, releasing any trauma, any stress. Beautiful, guys. If you're feeling this at the base of the neck, in those trap muscles, or maybe in the muscles lining the spine, so the erector spinae, that is totally normal. Don't be alarmed. Try to really breathe through it. And you just want to listen to the body here. I know that that is quite a sort of vague phrase and it takes some practice, but as you start to slow down and close the eyes and really tune in, the body will always tell you what it needs. You'll start to really feel into it. Amazing. We're going to shift the block now. So there's no real graceful way of doing this. You can just roll onto one side. I'm going to keep the block on this setting. We're going to place it horizontally this time underneath the shoulder blades. So just placing, finding that spot just beneath those big flat bones at the top of the back. And yes, this is quite an opening. It's a pretty big back bend. So just find which setting of the block works for you. It doesn't have to be the same as me. You can go lower, you can go higher if you're feeling it, whatever you want. If you've got two blocks, you can use both of them next to each other. So this is focusing slightly more on the thoracic section of the spine, really trying to find that extension. And this will allow the rib cage to expand. And as a result of that, the lungs can really function as optimally and as well as possible. So again, choose where feels best with your arms. And allow your breath to journey to the area that is experiencing the most intensity. Can you use your breath to encourage softness? And this block will kind of force the body to adjust and open around it. So if you think about a fence or a rock, and if there's a tree growing nearby, the tree will always grow around it. It will adjust, it will adapt. So I quite like to use that visualization when I think about what's going on in my body right now. The tissues surrounding it, the muscles, everything is kind of moving and adjusting to cater for the rock, for the block, not the rock. It just allows a slightly fresher experience within the body. Opening up some portals, some trigger points, getting a fresh bout of energy and blood flow. Take 3 more breaths here. And then for the final piece of this back puzzle, we're going to shift the block down right to the base of the spine. So pretty much supporting the pelvis. So if you think about it, the block is running across the ridge of the pelvis. It should feel very supportive. It shouldn't feel like it's cranking or compromising the back in any way. So have a little bit of a fidget around. And then it's up to you if you want to keep your legs bent, maybe you'd like to extend them. Again, remember that there's options. If you're using a block, you don't have to be on a certain level. Just do what feels right for you. And see if you can maintain this sense of opening and expansion in the chest. So try to really press down through your shoulder blades. Smile with those collarbones. Keep length all the way along the spine. Taking these last few moments of our class in stillness and in silence. Take 3 more breaths here. When you're ready to release, slide the feet back in towards you. Pick the hips up, remove the block, and let the whole spine and the back reconnect with the earth, coming to find your Shavasana. Tune in with those sensations that you're sharing between your physical body and the earth beneath you. Feel that support, feel that stability, and know that you're held here. Marinating in this stillness for as long as you can today. Thank you so much for moving with me, and I'll see you again soon. Namaste.